Using metric units is very similar to using imperial units. Again, using layers here, all I'm using is the default layer 0. I haven't actually created any new layers. So I'm just going to stick with the default layer 0 for now. What I'm going to do now is work with metric units. So again, I just type the word units and it comes up on the dynamic input there and press enter. And as you can see now, I'm going to use decimal rather than engineering or fractional or scientific. I'm going to stick with decimal and I'm going to use a precision of 3 decimal places. Same with decimal degrees, 3 decimal places. The rest of these unit settings I'm not going to worry about too much. Direction wise, this is the same for imperial by the way, you would use east 0. So to the right horizontally is 0. If you remember the way that you write, if you write English, you write from left to right horizontally. That is where your 0 line goes by default in Autocad normally. Also, measurement, you'll notice there, clockwise isn't ticked. Positive angles in Autocad by default are calculated in a counterclockwise direction, as per the little tooltip there that appears. The default direction for positive angles is counterclockwise. So I'll OK that now, and what I'm going to do is use the rectangle command again, and I'm going to come down here and specify a first corner point of 50, 50. Let's say I'm working in millimeters, so that's 50 millimeters along the x-axis, 50 millimeters up in the y-axis. When I press enter, there's my 50, 50 bottom left corner, and as I move out now, you can see that I can make my rectangle bigger and smaller. I'm going to go for 150 millimeters along the x-axis and press the tab key, and then I'm going to go for 75 millimeters up the y-axis and press enter. There's my first rectangle. Now if I want to get bigger and go for say a rectangle that's meters in size, if I'm working in millimeters, that means that the size of the rectangle has to be at least 1,000 millimeters to make 1 meter. Let me just zoom back a little bit, roll back on the wheel of the mouse there to make that rectangle smaller, and then hold down the wheel and pan a little bit. I'm going to go to the rectangle command again, just click on the default rectangle there. And like with the imperial units exercise, I'm going to hover over that endpoint snap and left click. And as I drag outwards now, look, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll zoom back a little bit on the wheel mouse to make that even smaller and pan again. And as I get bigger and bigger, look, as soon as I hit 1,000, it just goes to 1,000 millimeters. There's no distinction between a meter and a millimeter. Unlike the imperial units that show feet and inches, that's because you've specified that display setting. All you've said here is you want to show it in decimal using 3 decimal places. So if I make that, let's say 1,100, like so, and then press tab, that'll then show me, it's just over there, top right. I'll make that 450 in the box there and enter. If I just move along a little bit now, if I select this rectangle here and hover on that grip there, it's 150 by 75. I'll hit escape to deselect. If I select that rectangle there and hover on that grip there, it's 1100 by 450. So as you can see, there's no distinction between meters and millimeters when you're working using your metric units. Similar process, slightly different display though to imperial units.